Hi, this is Kevin Trainer. I'd like to welcome you to my tutorial on installing the Oxygen XML editor on Windows 10. I am recording this in anticipation of the spring 2017 semester and for my students to be able to use this. I'm hoping this is going to be good for at least a good year, okay? I'm using a Windows 10 64-bit virtual machine, which is up to date as of today. We're going to be installing the Oxygen XML editor version 18.1, which is the newest version today. And I just want to point out that what you're probably going to want to do is you're going to want to use the newest versions available of both Windows and Oxygen XML at the time that you do the install. And the install is probably not going to change very much one way or the other, but you do want to, I don't want you to be searching for a particular version. I want you to be getting the newest version, okay? All right, so where are we going to get Oxygen XML editor? We're going to get it from the website. So I'm going to go down to the lower left here where what I call the start icon is. That's what we used to call it back in the old days of Windows. And I'm going to use the Microsoft Edge browser because that's one I'm sure that you have because it comes with Windows 10. And I happen to know that the domain name for the Oxygen XML editor, folks, is oxygenxml.com. So OXYGN XML, all one word.com. And that's going to take us to their website. And as you can see, they're promoting See What's New in Oxygen 18.1. So that was about a month ago, not quite a month ago. So it hasn't been out for a long time, but I've been using it since the early days and everything's going well. So you get the new version at the time that you download, okay? Now, typically these icons for their different products are clickable. And the product that we want is called XML Editor, and it is clickable. So if we click this, left click it, it's going to take us down to that part of the page. We want to download it, so we'll just click that download button. Okay. Typically their website does a pretty good job of figuring out the operating system that you're on. So where did it bring us? But right to the 64-bit version for Windows, which is what we want. Right underneath it is a 32-bit version if you happen to be running 32-bit Windows. Okay. I also want to point out that it includes a copy of Java. I think that they find if they can count on exactly the version of Java that they're going to have, that they're going to have fewer problems. So you get a separate Java install that's embedded with the Oxygen XML product, which means you can actually run this on a machine. You can do this installation and run this on a machine that doesn't have Java otherwise installed. People from my class have probably already done the tutorial where they installed Java, so they're good both ways. So I'm going to click the download button. And I get a form to fill out, okay? And filling out the form does two possible things, okay? One is you can request an evaluation key or license code that's good for 30 days. Okay, so if you don't otherwise have a license and you're not in my class, so you can't use our license key, well then you're going to want to do that. The other thing that happens is you get the opportunity to get on their mail list, and their mail list is great. If you're going to be using their product, you're probably going to want to be on their mail list. But I both already have a license and I'm on their mail list about 1 billion times. So I am just going to go right past this. And in fact, if you wait long enough, it's just going to say that you can save it. So I'm going to click on save. And I'm not going to go through that process because they know who I am. I'm a longtime friend of these guys. And I've been teaching XML classes with their product for a good 10 years, and so they know who I am. So it looks like it's going to take us a couple of minutes to download, so I'm going to pause until the download is completed. And now we're back. So our product is finished downloading, and I'm just going to click on the button for Open Folder. And as you can see, we now have Oxygen 64-bit. That's looking good. And again, in prior versions of Windows, I would have been inclined just simply to double left click on this file and have it install. But I've learned in later versions of Windows that things are going to go better, more reliably, well, if I right click and I pick Run as Administrator. So that's what we're going to do. And it asks for permission. We're going to give it, say yes. And now we're going to get into the dialog. You'll notice that this brings up a panel for the Install 4J Wizard. The Oxygen XML editor is a Java application, which is why it's so portable and why I like it so much. You're essentially using the same product on all 3 major operating systems, which is pretty good stuff. For the most part, I take the default, so OK English. And then I'm going to say next. Accept the license. Say next. It wants to put it into C program files. That looks great to me. Click on next. Wants to do something with a start menu folder. That's fine. Click on next. Now here's where you have to have a little thought. Normally what you would like to do is you would like to be able to double click on any file that you want to open with Oxygen and have it just open. Now this is a problem potentially with .xml documents or .epub documents. So let's talk about EPUB first. What would we like to do? Well, what typically happens is that you open the file with the default EPUB reader. And for my students who do EPUB projects in our XML class, they do create .epub files, but it's the last thing that they create. And I think that they can get away without having to check the box for EPUB here, which is the next to last one. I think that's going to complicate things for them. On the other hand, up at the very top, XML document .xml, I'm going to want you to check that, because I don't want that to open in the browser. Okay. And then it's going to ask us, do we really mean it? Yes, we really mean it. Click on OK. Because for my money, using XML directly in the browser and trying to style it with cascading style sheets, although it's useful to open up XML directly in the browser, you really can't do any great work that way. There's always problems, and it's always kind of falling short. So, seeing as I don't recommend that use case for my students, I have them check the box here on the top such that once we are working, anytime we see an XML file, if we want to open it with Oxygen, we just have to give it a double click. So check the box for XML document, leave EPUB unchecked, and click on Next. And click on Next again. And we're going to see a lot of installing going on. Again, it's a Java application. There are a lot of files. It's not fast on the startup like many Java applications, but it runs very, very fast once it's up. And it's extremely portable. I particularly like the fact that we're using the same version, we're using the same software on Windows, on Mac, on Linux. And so I can be assured that my students are all having the same experience, which is pretty important for me because I have students on, well, pretty much the first two of those platforms, but there's always a hardcore Linux person lurking in the wings. So one of the things I like about this is we can even accommodate them with this product, which is pretty darn cool. So we're watching the install. Again, this is another thing that's not quite long enough that I want to pause the video, but long enough that it seems to be taking longer than I want. But we're getting close. Anytime now, we're going to be done. So, in fact, while we're waiting for this to finish, pretty soon we're going to be needing a license. Okay? So, I want you to think about getting access to your license. Your license is going to be a block of plain text, something that would live in a .txt file. If when we logged on here you had asked them to send you an evaluation license, it probably will have already shown up in your email. If you're in my class, you can find a copy of our license on our learning management system. And if we're at UWM, that means it's on the D2L site for this course. If you're at the University of Illinois, then it'll be on the Moodle site for this course. Okay. Either way, you'll find your way to your copy of the text that has the license. So we click on Finish there, and there is a box that checked to say that we want to start it. And we come in here. If we haven't already requested a trial license and we need one, we can ask for one here. Wait for it to show up in our email, open it up, copy that text, and come back. What you really want to do is you want to take the license text, and it's pretty obvious. There's sort of a header bunch of text that says like starts here, and there's a footer bunch of text that says ends here. So you can copy the whole thing, including the header and the footer, and get it on your clipboard. And what we're going to do here is we're going to click on Paste. Now, I'm going to pause my video because I don't care to share our license code with the world. And so by the time I start this up again, we're going to be off of the screen. Okay, so you get your license text on the clipboard. You can right click and paste, or pretty cool, they have a button for paste. So I'm going to paste. And then I'm going to say OK, and then I'm going to continue on. In this case, we're trying to start up the product. That's why we got this dialog. So what happens after this screen is the product is going to open up. Okay, so I'm going to pause this so that y'all can go do this with your license code, but I'm not going to show you mine. Okay, we're back. So I pasted the license code. I clicked OK. It accepted it. And here we are with the product started up. Okay, so let's just go look at the product here. I just want to show you a thing or two. This is not really a demo, but more of a just kind of checking out that we're properly installed. All right, let's pull this down. Okay. Sometimes this getting the corner of a window is a little bulky in a virtual machine. Okay, so here we've got kind of a display panel that's kind of advertising things. There's a panel over on the left side which helps us to navigate the document typically. There are a couple of panels on the right side that we're not really using quite yet. This middle area is what's going to contain the XML editor. Okay, so let's create a new XML document. So File, New. Okay, and we have a list of possible kinds of documents. We want a plain old XML document, and click on Create. And it opens up in the editor. And I find the type a little light, especially for teaching. And sometimes I find the type a little small for teaching. And so how am I going to fix that? Well, I can control the fonts in Preferences. So on Windows, we get the preferences by going to the menu, clicking on Tools. I'm sorry, it's on Options. Options, Preferences. And we brought this up, and I'm going to click on Appearance. And within Appearance, there's a whole list of things you can do, but I'm going to click the link for fonts. Okay. And here's the editor font and text components in the GUI. This is a little different than it used to be. I'm just going to go up, and on the editor font, I'm going to choose, and it's monospace 24, which is pretty big. Font size 24 is pretty big. So then I'm just going to click bold. Okay, and I'm going to say OK. And now I can click, go down to the bottom right, click Apply, and then click on OK. And when I come back, this is looking a little better. And something I like to do is to show people that we can put in a proper, if simple XML document. The line that we have up here is an XML declaration, a standard part, an optional but polite part to include in your document. You get that automatically with this editor. Then we might have a root element called the root element. And in this editor, when you close a tag, it will give you an end tag when you close the start tag, which is nice. You can hit the carriage return to get down to the next line. So let's create child 1 element, which is there. And I can go out and click on the end of the line and hit a carriage return and get child 2. And you'll see that I'm automatically getting indentation here. Okay, and then let's within child 2, let's say that we have a grandchild. Okay, it's going to go right there. All right, so as we're going to learn in our class, if you want to check your XML document for being syntactically correct, you check it for being well formed. And we can go up to the toolbar here. And this check icon has to do with all kinds of validation functions. But the one that we want to do right now, since we're not associated with any schema, is take the drop down to the right and then checked well-formedness. And if you look down at the bottom here, we have a green icon. Document is well-formed. And then, of course, if we want to save it, we can go up to the menu and say File, Save As. And let's see where we are. We're in, I'm actually looking on my Mac file system. So let's click on this PC, which is this PC, and then the documents. It's not where I wanted to be. Well, in any case, I guess if I go into Oxygen XML editor, samples, interesting. All right. Well, I'm just going to name the file. You get to the directory that you want to get to, right? Then we have something that's called untitled. So we give it a title. Okay. It should already know that it has a type. We've asked for an XML document. If we don't pick a type here other than XML, it's going to save it as XML. There are a lot of XML documents that have file extensions different from XML, which is why we can pick from a list. Okay, so let's click Save, and there we are. Right there, we have our document. All right, so we've got this baby properly installed, and we've had a little bit of a tour, not much, enough to get our feet wet. That's all. I wish you luck with this product. I love this product. I work with it every day, and I'm a big fan. So I hope this all goes well. I'm going to say bye until next time. Bye-bye.